So this time I want to show you my game against Middelveld from the KNSB, the third round, this season 2014-2015. So let's go. I played e4 and my opponent answered with e6, which was no surprise because that's what she already plays for many years, I think. And after d4, d5, knight c3, bishop b4, e5 and c5, I played bishop d2. It's a tricky sideline. I play sometimes, and maybe it's nice to give some background information. I was not so happy with main lines some years ago, so then I started to play this variation, and I can say yeah, when I play this line it's most of the time with good results. Although my teammate Aaron Orebeek, he is filled with disgust when he sees me play this move every time, because yeah, he plays the opening the French defense himself, and yeah, let's be mild for me, put it mildly. Yeah, it's nothing for white, he thinks, that's obviously. But anyways, I see some advantages for the move, because normally I'm not so happy with my black squared bishop in this opening, and that's most of the time an important piece for your opponent, his black squared bishops. So when you can trade them, then you have obviously reached something, because then you have left your good white bishop against his bad one. But let's not get too much into detail. Let's see what happened. Knight e7, knight b5. So this is what I meant here, the bishops are traded. And after castles, I took on c5. So white's a pawn up now, but to say it's a healthy pawn, no, it's not completely sure. Black can pressurize right center, because e5, c5, of course, it's a little bit, it hangs by a thread. But if you can, if black doesn't react too active, then yeah, then you have good chances. And at the same time, he still is left with his, like I said, his yeah, his bishop on c8, which for the moment is not too good. So Martina played knight e7. It's pretty obvious that's a good move, because it attacks c5 and e5. It undermines the white center, and it keeps options to attack c5 also with the queen, for example. And anyways, I played queen c3 to defend both pawns. The most logical move in this position. So here, that's another reason the knight gets to d7. So this knight can go to c6, and black can attack e5 several times. So I defended with knight f3. I could have played f4 maybe, but yeah, then white has only played a lot of pawn moves, and after f6 even black can sacrifice a pawn and get the f-file, and it's not so clear what to do. I have to play my pieces out really fast now, otherwise I'm left behind in development, and black has a real good game. Now she played a6, a mid move I quite frankly was delighted to see. I'm not because this knight can go to a strong square like it went to d6, because that's only temporarily. It remains to be seen if it's really that strong, because c5 and e5 are under attack. But the main reason I think it's not such a good move, because this bishop on c8, it's it can still not develop. That's why I would prefer myself b6 or f6. So after b6, for example, let's assume I take, and now I'm a clear pawn up after i4. But at least she has something done at her bishop, and maybe it goes to a6, rook to c8. e5 is still not so strong, such a strong pawn. I think black has some compensation here, and I think it's better than played in what is played in the game. And another thing was she could play f6 immediately, a move she played after a6, and then I have to take, otherwise she gets a real strong center. And then after queen takes, it's almost forced, and c5 is now weak, and I'll have to act really quick to get at least something going. And this was played in a game Meister Werle, but white did not have too much here in this game. After c4, knight c5, bishop d1, bishop d7, white was a little bit better, but it was not much. However, she played a6, and then I went knight d6, and then after f6 I still have to take, queen takes, and now I expected rook f6 with rook takes f6 because for this f file. But strangely enough, in the database only g takes was played, like she did. And after castles, knight c5. Of course, material is level now, but white still has something. Of course, I cannot allow her to get walking with these pawns in the center, because then black can be really better even. And of course I don't want to take this bishop on c8 also, because yeah, that's not something I like. But I have to react really fast here. So I played c4, and now when I came home, I saw this was even played in a game Zelsic-Mensinger. Mensinger played rook d8 here to immediately force white to show what he wants. And after c takes d5, knight b4, knight takes, rook takes, king b1. White still had a better game. It's not so easy what to do. I can show it shortly how this went. And here we see that white is really has the better of it. But anyways, Martina played knight e4 instead of rook d8. And here are lots of possibilities were playable. I even thought about take on d5, and after she takes on d6, I can take on d6. I can take on c6. There were lots of nice variations, but in the end, I decided just to go for knight takes e4, and after d takes e4, I think I'm clearly better. I have the better pawn structure. This bishop on c8 is still, yeah, you can say horrible. And after knight d2. Not only to attack this pawn, but also she has to play f5, which means there's another pawn on the white square, and the bishop on c8 is even possibly going worse. Here I played after some thinking, I played knight b3. Of course it's one of the logical moves here, to go to c5, maybe exchange on d4, because the black piece on c6 is the best piece she has at the moment. But c5 immediately instead of knight d3 is also interesting, to get a piece to c4, knight c4, knight d6, knight b6 maybe. maybe first bishop c4, bishop b3. That was a really interesting option also. But yeah, this game, the middle game costed a lot of time, so I wanted to play a quick normal move and not yeah, pawns cannot go backwards, so I wanted to wait and maybe later play c5. So here she played e5, which is quite logical to develop the bishop and even stronghold for the knight on d4 maybe in the future. After which I decided to develop further, bishop e2, and now she played b6, so she can also play bishop b7 for example. And yeah, I have to come up with a good plan, because if I do nothing then she slowly will yeah, maybe try to get an equal position. Of course she tries, but yeah, I must not help her with that. And I was also playing for the fact I think this e4, e5, f5 pawn wedge, it's not so strong, and I have 3 against 2 at the queen side, so that it's clear if I can do that something, I surely must do that. And here I played c5. I don't know. She also gets short of time. I saw this move rook d6, bishop b7, and then c5. b5, rook hd1, which actually transposed in the game, but I thought I play c5 immediately, hoping that she short of time and hopes to exchange pawns, and thinking that makes the draw possibility a little bit higher. But she played correctly b5, I think, because yeah, she could also play rook f6 maybe. But then you have to sacrifice a pawn, at least temporarily. Of course you get it back, but I can understand in time trouble you don't play rook f6 that easily. But anyways, after a variation like this, yeah, I think it's quite good for me, of course. The pawn structure, and now it's not even 3 against 2 on the queen side, but 2 against 1, which most of the time it's even stronger. And look at this pawn on a6, it's heavily attacked. I think white is quite a good game here. But let's go back to the game. After b5 I played rook d6 anyway, bishop b7, rook hd1, rook h to c8, and now rook d7. I can come in the 7th rank eventually, and look at this bad piece on b7. It only it keeps it busy the whole game. What to do about this piece? Yeah, it's really difficult. She didn't play bad at all, but it's really not easy for black to see better moves after some given positions. So bishop e8, it has to go even further. And then the other rook comes in, rook f7, and now I play the interesting bishop h5. Sometimes there were also, at least it forces to do what the black has to do something with his rook on d7. There also was a variation probably to play bishop d1 and to transfer to b3, but it's not so easy. Then I have to play the knight, and c5 maybe get weak, so I thought to go for bishop h5, and after the forced taking, sorry, she played i5. Of course it was logical. She tries to get more space there, and if she can attack the knight, it has to leave, and she can maybe herself play knight d4 and immediately attack c5, so I even have to watch out to not have the worst position. So bishop f7, king h8, bishop e6. I have to keep the initiative. As you probably know, initiative most of the time even is more important than material. So with some little tricks I try to hold on my good position. Bishop f8, bishop d6, a4 like planned. And now I was very proud of this move knight a1. I drew some arrows. You can see the plan is eventually knight c2 and knight b4. And it's funny, you will see later the last move of the game where this knight eventually ended. So it really did a lot of moves in this game. And yeah, it was a quite interesting adventure for the knight. So black played f4. This is also a logical move. You can see maybe she tries to play e3 sometime, and the bishop on a8, yeah, to becoming more active. So knight c2, the planned move, of course. And now she played rook d8, which in fact was a mistake. Because I think it loses by force. I could have played bishop d7 here. It's also interesting. Must be winning, but I played d5 instead of that, bishop d5, and yeah, so she had to defend her knight, and I won this e4 pawn. After which, of course, I have yeah, I have winning position. It's even in time trouble. It's very difficult to play for black, of course. If there is a chance of escape anyway, I don't believe it. But so knight e7, bishop takes. At least one advantage of this is that she has exchanged a bad bishop, but at a high price. Rook e6, knight g6, knight b4. It was time trouble, so but I think it were the best moves I could play. This free pawn is of course horrible, and the knight cannot come easily to it, the black knight. So she tried to go with the king. And now I played rook d6, where knight d5 was also pretty interesting. If then she wants to come closer, I can play rook f6, and the king has to go back. And after this, maybe I won a tempo. It's very subtle, but yeah, of course, it's not completely necessary or something. So rook d6 I played, knight e7, king d2, king f7, and king d3. Yeah, black can only play for tricks, but it's finished. Rook d8, king c3. King d6, c7. It's a pretty nasty move. Rook c8, and the knight it's on the rim, but it's not dim like they used to say. It's a very good here. Yeah, black is completely lost by now. Knight e7, rook h6, king d7, king d3. Now I can go to the center pawns. Yeah, black can attack pawns and pieces, but he can take anything. So knight c6, and this is what I planned before. And after king d6 I could play a beautiful move, if I may say so, knight b8. If you take with the knight, then c8 gets a queen, and otherwise you have to give your rook for the knight, and it's pretty clear that's lost. So you see this knight, which at one moment was on a1, decides the game, but coming to b8, like I said. So this was the game. I hope you enjoyed it and hopefully learned something from it. But at least this was what I wanted to show.